In the holiday season, are we allowed to have boundaries with family and friends? Well, if you find morality in the story of Jesus, the answer is hell yes. In the Christian New Testament book of Mark chapter 3, we see a story of Jesus being told, hey, your mother and brothers are outside. They want to see you. And Jesus says, that's not my family. Yes, he said that about the Virgin Mary. He said, those who do the will of God are my family. Was he saying Mary was a sinner at that point? No, he was saying those who understand who I am and agree with it are my family. And when he was telling the disciples he was going to go down to Jerusalem and probably would die there, Peter was like, no way. And Jesus turned to his friend and said, get behind me, Satan. Did Jesus believe Peter was a sinner? No. In the next chapter, Jesus took only 3 of his disciples to the mountaintop, and one of those was Peter. But in that moment, Jesus was saying, you are talking against my identity and my purpose and my mission, and nobody gets to do that. Anybody who feels they get to is somebody like Satan that I have to push away from. Sometimes we feel like we have to turn ourselves off so that we can sit with others at the holidays. Because families are an ecosystem like cogs in a clock. If one of them stops turning, fulfilling their role, it's going to upset the entire apple cart. And newsflash, human beings don't like it when other human beings make them uncomfortable. But to have a full life, we have to live aligned with our principles and our self-vision, or else we're just faking it. And that is, instead of making other people uncomfortable, we make ourselves uncomfortable to try to keep that cog-spinning ecosystem in line. Do that long enough and it becomes a deep self-harm. And you start to resent the people around you who make you live that self-harm. So being able to say get behind me, Satan, or maybe a better way to say it is, I'm going to build a boundary here and you don't get to treat me this way, is actually the loving way to live and respond to people around us. And if you have people in your life, particularly family, who say, we will never respect your boundaries because we expect you to continue to play the role you've always played in our family, that's when that boundary has to become space and separation. Even at the holidays, or maybe especially at the holidays. And when somebody says, but the Bible says to honor your parents, remind them that Jesus once said of the Virgin Mary, she's not my family right now because she's not in alignment with who I know I'm supposed to be. And if it's okay for Jesus to say that about the Virgin Mary, it may be okay to say that for you about your family. Knowing who we are and expecting those around us to respond in a way that acknowledges what we know about ourselves is honoring your mother and father. Just ask Jesus. We all share the trauma of family holidays. Let's start doing the self-work and the work around us to make holidays bearable again.